This video will have chapters for each class, so please feel free to skip to whichever part applies to you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Guardians. Today I will be starting a small series in which I showcase tips, tricks, and strategies for solo flawlessing all the dungeons in Destiny 2. I have been solo flawlessing dungeons myself since Prophecy release, and I think it's some of the most fun you can have in the game if you like challenges. Obviously, that means we have to start all the way at the beginning with the Shattered Throne. The Shattered Throne is honestly quite power crept and quite easy compared to when I very first solo flawlessed it, but that still doesn't mean that you should take it very lightly. This dungeon consists of 2 bosses and 1 normal encounter, and though the bosses are very old and can be taken out in a myriad of ways, it would still do best for you to come in with at least some sort of idea of how you're going to damage the bosses. A few weapons I would personally suggest would be 1K, with the Catalyst preferably, but I think you can still work it with Particle Deconstruction, Whisper of the Worm, or Izanagi's Burden. Generally, anything that can dish out heavy precision damage would be very good in this dungeon. But with my intro out of the way and my personal suggestions done, we can just jump right into the dungeon. Titans, we're going to be abusing 2 things here at max: Bolt Charge and Hammers. Now, my personal suggestion would be Bolt Charge Titan, because even though Hammers and Hollow Fire Heartburning Maul is good for Vorgoth, it's not as good for Dolan Karu, and if you recall, Shattered Throne is the only dungeon in the game to not have access to raid banners because it released before those were a mechanic. So you will not be getting your super, heavy, or any other abilities while you're in between encounters unless you are specifically waiting for them to charge. Now, because this is a solo flawless guide and not a dungeon guide, I'm not going to be explaining the mechanics and encounters to you because I assume you already know those. However, I will give you at least one tool to help you, and that is this little map for the first encounter. Sometimes I do know it can be confusing to remember where all the symbols are, so hopefully this will help you. The Descent is a very scary part of the Shattered Throne, as it's a very highly populated area and you do not have a lot of cover to play with. So my personal suggestion for Titans would be to just take it in stride, because unlike Warlocks and Hunters, we don't have too much movement to just jump across the chasm unless you're using an eager-edged sword. So I would just take it very slowly if you really want to be safe, or if you really want to push your luck or go fast, you can just try and use an eager-edged sword and thruster to get your way across the hall very fast. Moving on to Vorgoth, which, like I said earlier, is a very easy boss to kill because he does not have that much health. But please do be warned, he is still a taken ogre, which means if you're trying to sit still and deal a ton of precision damage to him with his eye, you're going to have a very hard time if he starts actually hitting you. You'll see in my footage I'm using Mistral Lift and La Monarch, and I am getting pushed around a little bit, but luckily Bolt Charge is making up for that. So just be warned. This is why for Titans here, it's really good to just use hammers on this guy. The unfortunate part is that it's really hard to get all that ammo and super back. But if you're willing to loadout swap or to use Hammer Titan here, you can go to the next Thrallway right before Dolan Karu and get all your heavy and all your special and all your super back, as long as you're willing to wait a few minutes. Finally, here at Dolan Karu, my personal suggestion for damage would be Izanagi's Burden, as it's really accessible to everyone because you can just get it from the kiosk, and 2 shots with full charge honed edge should literally just kill her. As for my personal tips around the fight, please avoid the knights. I know they might not seem that scary nowadays, but they will still kill you in 2 hits if they are ganged up together. Also, try to kill them at the same time so they all drop their Finite Thought at once, because if one drops it and you pick it up by accident, your Finite Thought timer won't refresh when you pick up the next one, is what I remember. If that's different, let me know, but that's how I remember the dungeon going. Also, reason I do not suggest Hollow Fire Heart or Solar Titan here is because the Scions are only spawning once at the start of the fight, and then whenever the Knights spawn back up. So you can't keep stacks of Sunfire Furnace very well, and you won't get any damage buffs on your Solar Super. So just use Bolt Charge Titan and she should go down, or just use Izanagi's Burden. Either or, and that should be the dungeon. Hunters, we're using one thing and one thing only: Nighthawk. You will literally one-tap Dolan Karu with Nighthawk. Now that might be a little bit of over-exaggeration, but the last time I checked, Nighthawk did one-tap her, so just use that, and if it for some reason doesn't, I'm sure you'll be able to do the rest of the damage, because she will have no health left. As for Vorgith, you can probably just use Blade Barrage with Shards of Galanor, and most of his health will disappear, and then use any heavy weapon of your choice, like 1k will be good here, Lament will probably be good here. Just anything that can really get up in his grill and make him stun. Now, because this is a solo flawless guide and not a dungeon guide, I'm not going to be explaining the mechanics and encounters to you because I assume you already know those. However, I will give you at least one tool to help you, and that is this little map for the first encounter. Sometimes I do know it can be confusing to remember where all the symbols are, so hopefully this will help you. Hunters, you probably have the easiest time dealing with the descent, as you can just go invisible and walk through the hallway as long as you cycle your invisibility correctly. My one suggestion and word of warning will be the ogres in the room after the hallway. Because of how Hunter Jump is and can be, you should really be careful about getting knocked off by those ogres. Again, you could probably just abuse invisibility here, but as long as you're past that, you should be fine. Here at Vorgith, I only have one really important thing to say, and that is that there are no raid banners in this dungeon. This was made before raid banners were a thing, so before entering Vorgith, please make sure you have your right subclass and your right weapons on, or else you will be entering the fight with literally nothing to hurt him with. As for what to damage him with, Hunters probably have the worst time damaging this guy. Like I said earlier, you could probably just pop Blade Barrage on and then finish him off with whatever else, or you can do what I'm doing here and using Mobius Quiver and Hierarchy of Needs to pump out a ton of damage, but that's a bit overkill if you ask me, and it's a way harder thing to access than Shards of Galanor and Blade Barrage. So that would be my personal suggestion, just because it's really easy damage. But honestly, as long as you have a decent damage setup that doesn't rely heavily on precision damage, you should probably be able to kill this guy very quickly. Here at Dolankaru, finally, I hope you have that Nighthawk ready, because as soon as you pop it, she will die. It is just boom. She's gone. Unfortunately for me, I'm a dumbass and I had my Void Hunter on. I didn't think about using Nighthawk, even though I should have. So instead, you'll be watching me use Izanagi's Burden, which is also really good at taking her out. So my only suggestion for this, other than destroying her with Nighthawk, would be pay attention a bit more to the knights. Even though this is a very power crept dungeon and it should be very free, these knights can hurt quite a lot if they stack up together and hit you. If you go to my Titan part of this video and look at my Dolankaru fight, you'll actually notice that I almost die just because of how strong the knights are and how they stack up on each other. So avoid that. Because we're playing Hunter and we're using Nighthawk, we shouldn't really need to bother with the Scions and rationing them for like abilities and orbs and whatnot. So as long as you kill them, kill the knights. Finite Thought won't refresh when you pick up a new one, so try to kill the knights at the same time. But once all that's done, you have your ×3 Finite Thought, pop your super, and she will die. And that'll be it for you. Greetings, Warlocks. Yeah, Shadow Throne for you guys is going to be pretty simple, as it is for everyone else. I don't really have any concrete strategies to suggest, just because Warlock has so much available to them in terms of survivability, boss DPS, just general actor. Like, you guys have so many builds you can use. My personal suggestion, I guess, would be 1k if you have the Catalyst. Even without it, I think you can still work it. But 1k with the Catalyst on Warlock just outputs so much damage, and it's one of the only things I could think of while making this video that you can bring into both Vorgith and Dolankaru and not have to swap, because as I mentioned in the other two parts of this video for Hunter and Titan, you don't have access to raid banners in this dungeon because it was made before raid banners were a feature. So being able to take one loadout throughout the entire dungeon is just such a blessing. Now, because this is a solo flawless guide and not a dungeon guide, I'm not going to be explaining the mechanics and encounters to you because I assume you already know those. However, I will give you at least one tool to help you, and that is this little map for the first encounter. Sometimes I do know it can be confusing to remember where all the symbols are, so hopefully this will help you. The Descent is what comes after the first encounter, and it is well known for being chock full of enemies that can shoot you with no fall off, and that you can't shoot back very effectively. Also, take in flanks, because why not? The best way to deal with this, probably, if you want to go fast, is an Eager Edge Sword with the Curse Dash. If you really are feeling yourself, you could try and well skate. I wouldn't suggest it, just because if you misinput it, you will be falling into the void. But the tried and true method is always just to play safe, kill the enemies as you go, try and hide behind as much cover as you can, though the hallway doesn't have that much to hide around. And also, please beware of the ogres in the room right after the hall. You are a Warlock, you can only float. If you're playing Blink Warlock, you're either insane, or you're the greatest gamer to ever grace this game. So, as soon as you make it past that, like with all the other classes, the dungeon should just be a piece of cake. Down here in the deep with Vorgith, we can kill him in a myriad of ways. Personally, I used 1k with Dawn Chorus, the Catalyst, and Particle Deconstruction. Just absolutely melts him. It's very lazy damage. It's very fun. If you want lazy damage, you could use Thunderlord. You can use Chaos Reach against this guy. You can use Nova Bomb. You can use Song of Flame and Winter's Guile if you're good enough at keeping stacks of Winter's Guile up. Honestly, just do whatever you want to this guy. There's literally nothing I can't suggest to him. The only thing I would not suggest using, I guess, would be precision weapons, just because if he is a Taken Ogre, so if he starts hitting you and he gets a really good string of hits on you, you will be in the back of the wall in no time. So anything that does splash, a sword can be good if you're going to well on his feet. Just as long as you're not trying to hit him with like a bow or some linears, I think you'll be fine. Reaching the top of the tower with Dolan Karu, I actually switched to Whisper in this filming because I wanted to show that as long as you have something with good precision damage, you can kill her very easily. The only things I had aiding this were Well, Radiance, and Triple Solar Surge, and it pretty much took her out within a matter of seconds. Granted, that is quite the few buffs, but even without those, I think it'll still do major damage to her. My one good tip would be, please do not let the knights stack up on each other or swing all together at once. If they swing all together at once, no matter how much health you have, they will destroy you. The only thing I could think that would maybe stop that would be an overshield, but because there are only 2 waves of silence that spawn per damage phase with Dolan Karu, you're not going to be getting all the buffs of like Armor Charge and Orbs and Fire Sprites or whatever, so please be wary of those knights. Also, when you kill them, try not to take Finite Thought immediately, because if you take one, the timer starts for all 3. You cannot refresh Finite Thought by grabbing another one like you can with other things in other dungeons and future content. So, be wary of that. Other than that though, Whisperer will take her out perfectly fine, lots of weapons will, and once you've done that, you'll have your solo flawless completed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's Shattered Throne, so it's not really too hard of a dungeon, and this video probably isn't very necessary, but it's Monument of Triumph, and I don't think there's actually been a single Shattered Throne like guide in like the past 2 years, especially updated, so I wanted to at least put this out there in case anyone was curious, because everyone has to start somewhere, and this is the dungeon I would suggest people start with no matter what, because of how easy it is. So I mean, if you found this helpful, thank you. I appreciate that. There will be a Pit of Heresy one coming out very soon after this. Hopefully, if you're going to start solo flawlessing, you keep watching because, again, there will be videos for all the dungeons very soon. So I would appreciate your support immensely. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.